Hello everybody, I'm SJM. Welcome back to Path of Exile. We have completed the Cruel difficulty. And I actually, was so excited when I got to the end there, I decided to do a little stream of my first foray into the mapping system and such. So my... Hello everybody. Silly... My slash played 3 days and 1 hour pretty much, but I did record it there. So when I first got there, it was 2 days and 20 hours. So that means it took me 19 hours to do all of Cruel, all 3 acts. So that's not too bad. I did suffer another 83 deaths through there, which was basically mostly just, still learning some of the boss fights. Still a lot to go for me, learning, exactly which moves have bigger AoEs than what they look like, which ones have smaller AoEs. So a lot of that Cruel campaign was pretty smooth, but there are still some troublesome bosses. Like Lachlan gave me, 10 or maybe even 15 deaths. There was a couple of bosses where I'm going to do a recording, or I'll show you my recordings later of doing boss fights. I was trying to face tank them to do them really cool, and that didn't work out, so I tried, a few self-inflicted extra deaths that way. Was there another boss that gave me a lot of trouble? I forget. Some of the ones that gave me a lot of trouble in the normal difficulty went a lot smoother because I know the mechanics better, obviously. But as you can see, this is the gearing as I was at the end of the act, or at the end of the game. I did do a little bit of shopping, so I picked up this chest piece and switched over my passive tree to get the lead me through grace to get some extra spirit. So we went from basically 100 spirit to 150, so it allowed me to do something neat, which we'll go over with the skills in a little bit. But yeah, this, and I also bought this ring. I thought the plus 50% increased evasion rating would be really huge and bump up my evasion quite a bit, but it doesn't. It truly doesn't. So that's 6826 as a flat number, or 78%. We take that off. Yeah. Yeah, almost nothing. It's adding 800, which is only 2% extra evasion at this high a number. So 800 is nothing to sneeze at, truthfully, but definitely, I only spent 1 chaos on this and one chaos on this, or exalt, so nothing too big there. I've had this helmet for a while. I don't remember when I picked it up, but I got this one and picked up the nodes that gave me extra evasion based on the energy shield of the helmet. So 6826. Right, so 1,400 extra evasion just from having 117 energy shield on the helmet. So having a good, like a big energy shield base plus that passive tree node is really big. Also, I did buy this weapon, so this is my weapon upgrade, which costs 7 exalt at the time. I think something like this is probably worth more about 20 now, because all of the monks are starting to catch up, so the demand is there for good weapons. So having the big fizz damage roll there, and that's it, right? Because I'm using Storm Wave, the leech's fizz damage's life does almost nothing, because everything gets turned into lightning damage, right? So the leech is really doing nothing. The only thing this has is the big numbers. Big numbers make happy. I did pick up this ring to get cold damage to attacks. and as well these gloves to get fire damage to attacks. So now that we've got all 3 elements in our attack, it helps our Tempest Bell get that extra more damage multiplier. We'll look at that in a little bit. Basically just, 20% move speed shoes is all we had there. And a very suspect belt at this time too, so, little bit of life and a little bit of resistances. So our resistances were really horrible at the end of the cruel difficulty, although we did make it by there with, most, like, mob deaths were minimal, like, say, 10 to 12 in packs and stuff like that, where you come up against a silly rare or just a stupid situational thing happened that I wasn't paying enough attention to, and that's but in maps this is a totally different story, and I did need to get this sorted out. I figured out last night when I was playing online, so I did go out and make some purchases so that we can get those sorted out quickly here. Let's take a look at the passive tree and where I'm at now. So as I had the Unbound Avatar and I wasn't using it. Literally almost never used it. So I decided may as well unspec that. It costs like 13,000 for each of those points, so not a huge deal for me because I haven't been spending my gold. And picked up this to get the extra spirit for primarily getting the Profane ritual automated with Reaper's Invocation. We'll talk about that when we look at the skills. So what have I picked up since Cruel difficulty? We went up here, we picked up another extra power charge, so we're up to 7 power charges. I added this point back. It does work, it just doesn't give you more power charges than your maximum, is the thing that I was noticing. So if you have I have currently 7 power charges. If I use my charge staff, I don't get 8 levels on my charge staff. I only get 7 because that's the maximum. So I don't think that's the way it should work. I think you should get extra, but what the tooltip says in the top corner here anyways doesn't work like that. So we picked up these extra power charges and then up into this tree here, so we just have to get this one last node here because we've got the fire damage in the build. This will give us 30% extra elemental damage all of the time, right? Because we'll always be chilling, we'll always be shocking, and we'll always be igniting as long as we've got the sufficient amounts of fire and cold damage in the build. Just note that this on my setup, because I have this on my alternate weapon classification, this doesn't affect my main build, so I do have to have extra flat cold in my build somewhere for that to work. I could spec out of these nodes here and pick up these and pick up this proper for my main setup. It's something that I really did want to explore the dual weapon set idea, so I'm not unspecking out of it now, and I haven't gone too deep into it on the other end because it costs double to unspec, right? So if I want to get these points back, I have to spend the full gold to get those points back, and then I could only respend them in weapon set 1. If I wanted to spend them in a general sense, I would have to unspec these 3 points as well. So it essentially costs double to unspec weapon set bonuses. And then the other thing, we've gone down here to increase our defenses with all of this evasion stuff down here. And then planning moving forward is to go over and grab the attack speed over here, and then eventually coming up to grab this one here to get the extra energy shields once we get even a much better base than what I've already picked up. So this one here with like 950 evasion rating, if I had this node, that's only an extra 83 energy shield. It's nothing to sneeze at, but it's not a huge boost by any stretch. But once we get like a, say, 1500 or 2000 evasion on a chess piece, then it will be starting to add up, especially with all of the increases to ES. So this is the node I was talking about earlier. So we get 2 evasion rating per energy shield, right? So that's giving me a flat 230 evasion, which after all of the multipliers, you know, from stuff down here, stuff in here, turns out to be quite a lot, right? Obviously, of evasion. Oh, the other big one here, it was getting really expensive on mana, so I did grab the reduced cost of mana skills here. So 16% reduced mana cost, because we did get the third link or third support, fourth link on our charge or on our storm wave. Speaking of skills, let's go over those here now. So storm wave is my main attack. We have martial tempo so that we attack faster. We have primal armament for more weapon elemental damage. We have mobility, so this you know, I don't want to be too unethical with the damage we get from storm wave, so I'm making sure I do less damage. That's a joke. This just allows us basically to move a lot faster while we're attacking and continually attacking. And I've also added in rage here as well. This is something I picked up. This is one of the first jewels that I found from a drop, and I put it on there and figured out what rage does. It's actually more damage. So we get 1% per rage, so up to 30% more. So more multipliers are always the thing we want to be focusing on. As long as we have a decent amount of increased, more is always going to be better. So more multipliers. So I'm currently getting 4 rage for every attack that we do, so that builds up really quickly and ramps up our damage quite nicely there. Wind Dancer is huge because this gives us 18% more evasion per stage. So sitting in our hideout, we do have 3 of those going, so that's 54 more evasion rating. So that's why my evasion is sitting at such a high number, almost 80%. Our main buff, Herald of Thunder, I have right now Lightning Infusion and Conch Effect. We could probably switch this around. It might be better to have, I think it's definitely better to have the Lightning Mastery, so the +1 to the skill level. And we might not need the Lightning Infusion part of it anymore, but can't hurt, right? It is 100% of all the damage is converted to lightning, so we don't have to worry about the downside there. Just the nerf that they did to the MAME here is that it doesn't. Yeah, I forget how the nerf works there, but not 100% sure. So being the Ice Strike, which is what we use for bossing obviously. Close combat, so more damage while we're close, because we're always going to be close when we use this. And Crescendo, so we can use the final strike a couple of extra times, because the third strike is, a bigger, more powerful. It says more powerful, but I don't see any damage bonus in the tooltip here, which is strange. Oh, attack damage 354. as opposed to being 159. Tempest Bell. This is the big one. This obviously gets the Shockwave, 30%. Oh, sorry. So this Shockwave gets 30% more damage per ailment on him. So as long as we're doing all 3 of them, then we're getting 90% more damage on the bell. So that's why we've added fire in on the thing and making sure we have, well, all 3 base damages, right? So typically when we're using on the, this is only used for bossing, but typically when we drop down the bell, we're using the Ice Strike because we're doing the bossing. And we have lightning coming from the charge staff. And then obviously cold being Ice Strike itself. And fire from the flat damage that we're getting from equipment. Ghost Dance as our other defensive boss, which just refills our energy shield quite nicely because we've got quite a high evasion rating now. So just 5% of our evasion is a good, you know, I don't think it's fully refilling my energy shield right now, but it's at half or 2/3 of it. When we get hit and use one of our 4 shrouds there. It's unsupported right now just because I think I'm low on strength to support the Ghost Dance with the one that makes the interval shorter, right? Charge Staff, obviously this is the reason why we have all of the power charges, because we're getting 1 to 12 times 7 additional lightning damage on all of our attacks, and gives us the extra Shockwave, which does extra damage on, like, it's only 86%, but no, that's an 86 more damage, right? Because we're doing extra damage on top of everything there. And as for power charge generation, I am still using Killing Palm. Just have Innervate on there just to have something in there. But this is basically only to get us started generating the power charges. But it also is, I just love this finishing off a tricky rare that's been a pain in the neck, or finishing off the bosses. So I like having this in the rotation. And Reaper's Invocation is our main source of power charge generation. This is one of the techs that I picked up from watching Milky BK. I'll link him down in the description so you can see what he's been doing. But he was using this to get his Falling Thunder to work properly, along with charge staff at the same time. So always having power charges through Profane Ritual. Just have to make sure that you're not shattering corpses, so you should stay away from freezing and shattering enemies, because otherwise you won't have corpses. But you can at the very least get 5 power charges at a time if you've buffed this up like to 100%. But you can trigger, you can use this skill anytime you have like up to 20%. So if you have 20%, you can consume 1 corpse and get 1 power charge. If you got 40, you can get 2. It just makes things a lot easier, and you don't have to stop and use the Profane Ritual individually every time, like I was doing, say, in the when I first started using this. I got away from Profane Ritual, and I was using Lightning Siphon. Is that the name of it? For extra power charge generation, but it's just things that take away from my main attack, and extra buttons, it's confusing to my old brain, so this one just makes it all easier. So supported with obviously Perfusion for the extra charge. I was, having enough mana troubles. That's why almost none of these have the third support added on there, but we'll get there eventually. And I'm always watching other people's videos and changing these around, so I don't even think these are ideal by any stretch of the imagination. But the main inspiration for this setup and the way have these supported right now is actually from TyTy Killer. I'll link him down below again. That's also where I have gotten my his version of the loot filter, which helps filter out a bunch of weapons that we don't ever want to see on the ground, as well as armor bases that we were not interested in. So that's the skills and everything. You can all click off now. I am going to show some video that I recorded of, just trash mob clearing, as well as 2 bosses. So you can stick around for that if you're more interested in finding out how the build works. But other than that, I appreciate you for checking it out so far. We may as well look at the improvements that I've made to the build. So 6826 on the evasion and absolute garbage resistances. We're not going to bother fixing chaos because we're still kind of on a bit of a budget. I had almost 50 exalts when I started this shop, and I was trying to be skimpy because I knew my weapon is going to be super expensive to upgrade at this stage, but I'm foregoing doing that, and we'll get the rest of our defenses sorted out anyways. And I'll 20 exalts doesn't even get me a weapon that's better than what I have already, in my opinion anyways. Maybe we could get lucky and snipe one off a trade, but I'm not doing that. Not too worried about it just yet, because damage is serviceable in the early mapping. So where are we at here? So let's swap that guy out. Boots. Here I did make a big mistake. I was going to splurge on my boots and get 30% move speed and LE resists, and I saw this and I caught myself a lot earlier looking at the expensive boots, and there are some out there that don't have movement speed but have all the resistances, and I just got, these are corrupted with a decent corruption hitting on the max lightning res, because lightning is always one of the most dangerous things to watch out for. And I noticed that after I bought these, I spent 15 exalts on these, and they don't even have the move speed. So regret there, but what we'll do is we'll slow down our gameplay, because you can see we've got not bad movement speed with the 20% there. But putting these on, we're going to be moving a lot slower, but I should be quite tanky at this point. And, obviously our evasion's going through the roof at this point now. We're up at 12k with 87%. And
Shocking.
We're going to lose a little bit taking off our amulet just to get more resistances. The only thing that I bought this for was for resistances. It's got some life regen, which will help, passively regenerate life. And obviously we got more damage here, and 40% fire resist, because this was the last thing that I needed to fill out, so I was looking for big fire res, and we actually ended up getting the all LE res ring plus fizz damage to attacks. Got super lucky on that guy. This one was pretty cheap. I think it was like 3 or 4 exalts. And it's time to take off the old Paul Circlin. And then this does leave me with 10 extra spirit. So we're going to add in another buff to our thing. So I wanted to get... We have to go to all gems to find this, and Should be right here, right? Clarity. So extra mana regeneration rate. And we just slot this in on our Wind Dancer. This does have an additional reservation of 10 spirit. So it doesn't matter which one we go on, but you do want to have it on one of your active buff skills. So we're now at a mana regen rate of 57.8. And before it was 48.6. So about 50. Yeah, we gain about 10 recovery per second. It's not huge, but it's something. If I had some incidental mana recovery, which I don't even know how you get flat. I think you just need more mana to get flat, but that's beside the point, I guess. And the big upgrade on this ring here, as well as the fizz damage, was the 7 mana per enemy killed. So this will make it a lot better in general mapping. So we'll get all that back. So we've increased our evasion quite a bit, up to 10k. And our resistances are sorted out. As I go through maps, I may opt to unspec out of the I Am the Thunder and pick up the Protect Me from Harm. Obviously, our evasion rating will go down, but it will give us armor based on evasion, because we have absolutely 0 strength in the build, so we have no way to utilize strength gear for armor. So getting some physical mitigation might be necessary, and we can always look at doing that later. The other thing, I guess, that I'm thinking about moving forward is unspecking all of the power charge stuff. So we get 3 back here, 3, 4, 5 back there, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 extra points. And we could go up this way and pick up, there's evasion and energy shield stuff up here this way, as well as I don't think this one is so big, but we might get this lightning, go for this lightning branch out here. As our weapon gets better, the additional damage we get from the charge staff isn't as important, and maybe 3 power charges is as good as 7. Not 100% sure on that, but would allow us to pick up extra quality of life stuff like the skill speed here, or this attack speed one down here, now that our dexterity is actually getting pretty decent. 164 dex would give us, so 150 would be 10. It's almost 11% extra attack speed if I had 1 extra point of dex, obviously. And yeah, if our mana works out, we get these extra 3 points back here. Well, 4, 5, extra 5 points back here to spec elsewhere. I don't think I want these ones, but it's possible. And we may just go into either more evasion, because if we pick up the Protect Me from Harm, we're going to need to work a lot harder to get our evasion number up, or go crit if we think our damage isn't that good. Alright, enough rambling about future plans. We'll review it when we get there. Let's take a look at a couple of gameplay examples. So here's going through zone and starting to get powered up, so we're just going to storm wave away. We can use killing palm on some of these enemies if we want, but I'm just killing away, and then as my Reaper's Invocation builds there, we can pop that at any time. So now that we've hit 40, we can, well, actually I popped it just before we got to 40. But now we have one power charge and we can kind of wait on it. I did use it once and then twice, and this one actually lasted me 3 uses because of the support chance to not use the charges when you use it. So we ended up with, on one power charge, getting up to 4 on our charge staff procs. Good old temporal bubble enemy there, so we just make sure we clear out the trash around it and then just stay outside of his range and kite away, which is the big effect of the mobility support on our thunder. Or sorry, storm wave. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Occasionally we can use the charged bomb to build up a power charge, but at this point, once you've started building up high enough, you kind of want to, once we've have 7 charges on here, you want to just make sure that you keep refreshing your time on your power charges by using your Reaper's Invocation with 1 or 2 charges at a time, just to so that when you need to refresh when the timer runs down on our charge staff, we can refresh it constantly. And with the perpetual motion on it, is it the perpetual? What is it? Which one is it? Where'd you go, charge staff? Persistence. The more skill effect duration. So with 7 charges and persistence, we get a 1 minute of use on the charge staff, which is super handy. Let's take a look at a boss fight or two. So here we are at the Molten boss. So I switched my weapon over to my ice, over to weapon set 2 so that it works with my ice strike. And then changed out the Reaper's Invocation for the Lingering Illusion so that we can gain some power charges with the dodging. So now we can get charged staff up, drop the bell, and basically chunk him down relatively quickly. And then the good part in this phase is if you're pure melee, you can't do anything, but because we are playing ranged melee, I love this. We can actually, just hit him there while he's still get damage in while we're in this big long phase, which is pretty important in this fight. Made some big mistakes there rolling through the lava waves, but got away with it in the end. So we pulled him away from the lava and then drop our bell. Continue on with there. And here we can see we're maintaining 30 stacks of rage pretty consistently with that setup there. And from here on out, it's just making sure that we don't get caught in the big explosion of these guys here when he does his little roar thing. So this run got kind of lucky and none of these spikes appeared in the middle of the arena, which is usually what gets me in this fight, especially when I'm trying to face roll them, like I was trying to do in this example. And then the other thing about pulling him away from the lava is you can't pull him away too far, because if he gets too cold, he'll be like, oh, I'm cold, and he'll run back into the lava, which, obviously takes forever to get past. And here we'll take a look at the second phase for Doriani. This one, the last fight before we get to maps. I thought it would be fun to have a look at this one. I'm still not too solid on the mechanics of this fight. Got lucky that I was outside the range of his slam there, because I wasn't even paying attention to the range on that. On that particular one, I am cognizant of it, but not super. And then I don't like using the one that takes the shock off of the enemy, because we like keeping the enemy shocked, especially with the increased effectiveness of the shocks that I have from my tree. Just dropping bells where we can, and watching out for the big slams and the laser beams that come out of his butt. In that case, got super lucky during that one there. I rolled right into it instead of out of it.
It's not over yet. Full power.
Here, get him down from half pretty quickly in a couple of
we are definitely coming to
couple of bell activations.
My way. I cannot allow you to interfere.
And obviously, you know, the cold monk is a lot better overall in almost all aspects, but I want to give the dual weapon setup thing a try, so I'm just trying to find the light. I found the lightning skill that I like to use, and obviously the cold skill, which is great for the bosses, but you know, instead of being just a pure cold monk and exploding all of the packs, I like being lightning and having that play style through learning how everything works in the game instead of just freezing it, and which would put me at a great disadvantage moving forward when you're not freezing everything. Anyways, I think that's enough rambling for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. It's been really fun going through the game. You know, I took my time in the normal mode. I listened to all the dialogues. I clicked on all of the lores that I could find throughout everything. I think I even missed one of the bonus things. This, even though it says this looks like it's not done, I did do the Bog Witch there, so I did get my extra 40 spirit there. This one I think we get 10% more fire resistance. So I still need to go find Blackjaw to get him. That's the one that I missed, I believe. But other than that, I think I got all of the important ones, and I skipped over all of the optional ones. Unless I actually happened to, like, come across it incidentally, and then I did kill the side bosses. I can't tell if this one is a bonus or not. I don't think so. And like even in Act 1, I didn't bother to go down to kill the Creeping Horror. I didn't go over here to kill the King in the Mist because he doesn't have any extra bonus. Did kill the Crowbell, obviously, for the extra passive points. See, didn't even go down to the treacherous ground over there for the Devourer. Alright, let's wrap that one up here. I appreciate you all for checking out the video, and I look forward to seeing you as I improve this build, and maybe next time we'll have something that's got a little bit more nuance and splitting out and diverging for the two different trees that I have going. I appreciate you all, and we'll see you in the next one.